I can honestly say the single biggest reason over anything else, over any one other thing that has happened or that I have done in business, is implementing a CRM from the very beginning. I touched on it in one of the other previous podcasts, but I actually had a CRM. I run Salesforce as my CRM. There's a bunch of other ones out there that are very, very good. But Salesforce was the one that I chose just because I had so much experience with using that, because that's what a lot of the telco companies use. But having that in place is the single reason my business has been able to grow to what it has in the short time frame that it's been around. So let me explain. Nobody, or very few people, I can't say nobody, obviously, very few people use a CRM correctly. Even I don't use it to its full extent. And I'm anal as fuck about using my CRM. So what used to annoy the shit out of me when I was a sales manager was having my sales reps come to me with having made a bunch of cold calls and set a few meetings, and they may have made 100 cold calls for the day, and they've set 3 or 4 meetings, 5 meetings, whatever it was, and they'd come to me and be all excited about setting those meetings, and I'd say to them, look, that's great, that's amazing, let's run through them. What's the scenario with this one, this one, this one? And once we'd been through those 4 or 5 meetings, and I've given them a little bit of a tip, or I may have worked it in to come out to one or two of the meetings myself with them. The next thing I said to them was, okay, so they're in the calendar, that's amazing. What happened with the other 95 calls? And this is where the issue is, and this is where people don't use the CRM correctly. What I used to drum into my team was, the CRM is your lifeline for the next 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and so on. Like it is the life of your business. Now, from a telco point of view, every single person that you've spoken to, or the overwhelming majority of the people that you've spoken to, other than the ones that tell you to piss off right away, have typically told you who they're with, how many phones they have, roughly when their contract expires, and that information in itself is gold, because if I speak to somebody in July and they tell me that their contract expires in May of next year, I already know inherently, typically their existing carrier will get in touch 3 months in advance. So I make a note to get in touch 4 months in advance. But without having a CRM, it's almost impossible to do it. There's people that try and run it off Excel spreadsheets and this and that, and it's just clunky as shit. I've seen some of these spreadsheets that people run as their database, and they're just not even close to as effective as what a CRM is. And it doesn't have to be Salesforce. It can be any CRM. Just any CRM is better than nothing. But what it allows you to do is actually forecast and plan. Okay, I know when I look at my pipeline report on the 1st of March next year, I know that I've got 50 people in my report that I can speak to in March that I've genuinely spoken to in the last 5, 6, 10, 12, 18 months that have told me that information, and that have given me, in most cases, the permission to call them back when it's closer to their contracts being up. So that's the value of a CRM for me, over and above what a lot of people even realize it to be. Yes, you can run dashboards on it and track where your sales are versus this and that and whatever else, which is great. And I've got dashboards coming out of my ears on Salesforce, dashboards and reports. I love it. I spend my life on that stuff. But the fact that you can actually run those reports at any point and say, okay, well, these are the clients that I can speak to this month or in the next 3 months. And not only that, when you really get into it, and I never actually had the grasp of how powerful these things were until I actually had my own business and was able to implement my own CRM, because the systems that I'd used before were always locked down by the administrators of whatever company I happen to be working for. When you've got access to these CRMs yourself and you can write your own reports and your own dashboards into them, it's unbelievable. Like, you can put any any information in there you want. You can put, I've got listings in there saying which of my clients like to play golf, because I like to play golf, and at some point in the future, I may well decide that I want to run a corporate golf day, and I can run a report out of the CRM saying these 80 clients love playing golf. Brilliant. So when you get that level of information in there, look, another thing that I've put in there, which I need to actually look at in fairness, and it's another one of those things, I haven't done everything perfectly well. I've got a field that I've put in there for the date of birth of each of my clients. So the idea being, and the whole reason I've added that field into the contact list, was so that I can run a report on the first of each month, or actually probably needs to be a little bit before that, probably towards the end of each month, and say, okay, it's coming towards the end of July. Let's have a look at August, and let's have a look at all of my clients that have a birthday in August, and let's just send them a card and a little thank you. Like, what telco company ever sends their clients a card? So, but it's that sort of stuff, right? Like, you don't have to be a telco company to do that. You could be a mortgage broker and send your clients that you sold a house to 3 years ago and send them a birthday card. And that will blow their mind, because nobody sends a fucking birthday card to somebody that they dealt with 3 years ago and hasn't spoken to since. So, but it's so powerful, but you don't get that level of control if you don't have a CRM. That's why these things are so insane. But it's very different to have one than to actually use it effectively. And as I said, there's certain things, there's a lot of things within the CRM that I still to this day haven't utilized yet, or at least not to their full extent. And part of that's I haven't dedicated the time to doing that, but it's just so powerful having it. I cannot be more bullish on this. Get a CRM before day one of starting your business. That was probably the podcast that I mentioned it in, was before day one. Get your CRM, have it in place so that every single person that you speak to from day one of your business onward goes into that CRM. Right? You can run email lists from that, email marketing and what have you from your CRM as well. All of that sort of stuff. You can target specific clients in specific industries. You can do all of that, but you're going to really struggle to do it without a CRM. And I just don't believe an Excel spreadsheet. As much as I love Excel, I have so much that I do on Excel, it's unbelievable. I'm looking at my screen at the moment while I'm doing this podcast, and I've got half a dozen different Excel files on the screen right now. I use Excel so incredibly much, but using it as your CRM is just not even the way to go. And CRMs aren't expensive. I run Salesforce. I mentioned it earlier. When I signed up for that, I've only just renewed it actually, and it was $460 for the year. Like, if you're running a business and you can't invest $460 into a CRM for a 12-month, it's like $40 a month, not even, right? If you can't invest that amount of money into a CRM to run your business, where the hell are you putting that money that it's being spent better than putting it into a CRM? That is going to help you grow your business. Because as I said, I stand by this, and I will scream and shout about this forever. My business would not be where it is without the CRM. It just wouldn't. And I don't understand companies that can operate without one. It just blows my mind. And there's companies that have been around for a lot longer than me. I speak to many, many clients and networking colleagues and what have you that run very, very successful businesses and haven't had a CRM. And it blows my mind, not because they've been successful, more power to them, but more to the point of how much bigger could they be if they actually had one in place. I've been dealing with clients over a period of 18 years and you don't have a CRM. Where is the opportunity out of 18 years worth of clients that you've had is unbelievable. So this is why I'm so bullish about it, and I will never run a business without a CRM in place. I've got other businesses that I'm running and other businesses that I'm looking at running, and those businesses will all have their own CRM. They just will, because I refuse to run a business without having a CRM. I don't even know what to say to this. It's just, you cannot run a business successfully. I'm going to say it, like, it's a very blanket statement, and I don't normally like doing that. But I'm going to say you cannot run a business to its full potential without having a CRM. You just can't do it. It's not possible. So look, that would be my number one, above all else, my number one piece of advice is, if you want to build a business for the long term, or even for the short term, there's still value in it for the short term, because, as I say, you can run that email marketing. If you've got a database of people that you can feed straight into a CRM and then run email marketing from that and track that and this and that, like, even MailChimp's a form of CRM. You know, it's not as powerful as something like Salesforce or HubSpot or those sort of things, but it's still a form of a CRM, and it will allow you to do a lot more than just a spreadsheet will. There's nothing you can implement in your business from day one that's going to give you the control and the leverage of what a CRM will. It just is what it is. So, number one, go and get a CRM. If you haven't got a CRM, there's probably not much point listening to any more of the episodes on this podcast series, because not that they're all going to reference CRMs, but I just don't feel like you're going to get the value out of listening to this if you don't actually have a CRM in place, because it is that important. It just really is. So go and get your CRM in place, and I look forward to speaking to you again on the next podcast. Cheers.